Keeravaani, you composed the score for RRR and wrote the song Natu Natu, which is in consideration for an Oscar. You've worked with this director, S.S. Rajamouli, before. What did you think of this story when he brought it to you?
Yeah, hi there. I've been composing music for Rajamouli's movies for the past 20 years. And RRR being his 12th movie on the row. So I was feeling a bit tense because he was doing for the first time with two big stars, like it's a multi-star movie. So stars from different areas and different communities as well. So it's a big thing for him. So I was a little bit worried about how can he do justice to the followers of both the big stars. But when I happened to listen to the narration of his first draft, I felt very thrilled the way he brought, the equal importance in the script for the both of them, and thus making it a platform for a big platform for the grand epic kind of story narration for involving both the superstars. So musically, for me, it has been very comfortable journey because I concentrated on making the score and songs was to compose themes for the friendship of both the characters, and both of them about their friendship and about the conflict. I concentrated and went by the story where the friendship took the major role. So RRR is all about a friendship between an accidental friendship between two guys who are seriously on something on a serious mission. So finally, their missions were accomplished with some turbulences, some breaches, some misunderstandings, and all. So like it's masala, full masala script. Masala is, action-packed, action emotions packed, full script. But my journey was constantly with their passion, with the friendship, and the conflict. And that's what I say about RRR and music.
And where did the idea for Natu Natu come from? It's such a fun and energetic song for these two characters.
Yeah, Natu Natu song is, the idea behind having Natu Natu song is one of these guys was intimidated by Britishers in a party, has to face lots of animosity, hostility, and the trouble. So the other guy comes and joins the hands with him to save him from the situation, like defending themselves with this the foot tapping song. It talks about ethnicity, basically. Why I'm doing ethnicity? This is what we are. Let us present ourselves with what we learned, what we know, what we enjoyed in our childhood. This is Natu. Natu means ethnicity, basically. Natu means an earthly beat, a rustic percussion. So let us enjoy this beat, this 6/8 signature beat, talking about all the things we enjoyed, all the things we feel energetic, we feel high about, all the things belong to motherland, homeland, everything about us. This is we. So just look at us. It's kind of exhibiting and displaying, showcasing their inner energy, packed with lots of stamina. In the end, it all was about stamina only. So that stamina over overpowered the entire arena there, leaving a great impression of about the song, about the performances, and about the ethnicity. That's how they made it. I understood the song, and thus I provided lyrics and music for the song. Lyrics by Mr. Chandra Bose, and I did everything else. I mean, conducting the music, composing music, writing score, calling the singers and making them sing, and processing the song, and finally presenting the song. That's the journey of Natu Natu song.
And have you been surprised by just how much of an impact the film and the song have had around the world?
Yeah, really. Yes. I never dreamt about this kind of reaction and response. It's really exciting. I never dreamt about this. But you may say it's a dream coming true also at the same time. I never dreamt, but it's a dream coming true. Great. I'm very happy for this kind of response, and I'm looking forward to even more. I never imagined that the song would be received this way, this big way. It's a beyond expectation, and it's all it's a bonus. I'm very happy, very privileged to receive this kind of response.
And if it were to win the Oscar, it would be the first Telugu song to win the Oscar.
Yeah.
Would that be
Of course.
especially meaningful to, to have that achievement?
Yeah, it's a great achievement. Yeah. It will be a first ever Telugu song and first ever Indian song also. I mean, I think it's the first ever Indian song. And Ravi Shankar ji received an Oscar for his score in Gandhi, I remember. But this will be a first ever Telugu and Indian song also.
And how challenging is it to kind of bring all of these elements together, the romance, the drama, the action into one just score, and to have it all cohere with the songs and everything?
Yeah, it's quite some task, but I'm used to this kind of exercise, particularly sailing with Mr. Rajamouli. So we had mentally, we were adoring a mentor of ours, with whom we never physically worked with, but there is a director called Vishwanath in Telugu. So he's a director, he's a movie director. I worked with him for 3 movies. So when he extracts work from his technicians, especially musicians, so he conducts lots of meditation. So which we call Kadatapas in Telugu. You may call it musical meditation. When you do this musical meditation, so you come up with answers like what kind of melody you need to have for a particular situation or a scene, what kind of a graph, what kind of physical graph it should have. I mean, and the audio wave has a graph all the time. So what is the graph? What is the density? What is the volume? And what is the rendering, and which kind of instruments you may use, you will have to use. All these answers will be coming from that musical meditation. It may sound a little ridiculous when I say musical meditation, but that's what we do. When I do this, the answers are almost closer to the physical reaction of an animal. When I say animal, I am speaking about human beings also, because I believe human beings are also animals. They're social animals. So when you react to a situation, there will be a pitch, there will be a tune to that reaction. Suppose I go to downtown and somebody is trying to mug and grab my wallet or something, my passport from me. My instant reaction will be, hey, So when you try to translate this, my reaction, my defensive mechanism reaction into music, hey, dara, 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 dara. And I try to simulate that effect on a cello or a violin. Dara, 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 dara. So that will become an organized melody, musical melody, when I try to translate my reactions into music. So I should go closer to the original natural reactions, not dramatize them much, but just enhance the melody with musical instruments. This is how it works. For every reaction, there is a musical translation. That's what I believed always. Also, I learned a lot from my mentor, S.D. Burman, from Bollywood. He is a Hindi music composer. He's a great stalwart who did many movies, hundreds of movies he did. So he's very good at composing music closer to the nature and natural reactions. That's what I learned from him. Of course, I never met him, but I learned from his listening to his music. And things like that, and people like that who advocated this kind of philosophy. So that inspired me a lot. That's what I do. And that's also, practiced greatly by this director, Rajamouli.
Well, I want to congratulate you on your work on this film, and thank you so much for talking with me about it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Benj Pasek, you're one of the writers of Good Afternoon from Spirited, which made the Oscar shortlist for Best Original Song. Now, you and your writing partner, Justin Paul, worked on all of the songs for the film. What stands out to you about Good Afternoon as a particularly special musical number?
We are really proud to be a part of Good Afternoon, and it's been really exciting to see how it's sort of taken on a life outside of the film. Originally, the Spirited is based on A Christmas Carol, and it sort of flips it on its head. And in the original Dickens novel, Good Afternoon was something that Ebenezer Scrooge would say when he wanted to basically shut the door in people's faces and wish them a terrible day. And it's basically akin to like an FU bomb in 1800s Dickensian vernacular. And the idea was actually pitched originally by Ryan Reynolds to say, what if actually this term really in the 1800s did mean FU, not just was imbued with the kind of FU quality, but it was sort of like, a way to say piss off, essentially. And so we thought, wouldn't it be so fun to take that notion and to basically write our own PG-13 or R-rated Mary Poppins song that really used, that turn of phrase. And what's so great about the song in the way that people are using it now is that I have my niece and my nephew and all of my friends' kids who will call me up or FaceTime me. And it's this subversive way to, say a bad word without actually saying a bad word at all. So it's been really, really cool to see how it's sort of translated beyond the film. And it's also a really wonderful thing to see Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell get to do what they do best in the sense of being comedy men, but then also exercise this whole new element that we've never seen before of them being song and dance men and singing and tap dancing and imbuing the comedy that we know from them, but putting it in the world of musical theater. So the combination of all of that came together in a really fun way. And yeah, the song Good Afternoon was born.
And what is it like writing for two personalities that are so distinctive and sort of iconic as Will Ferrell's and Ryan Reynolds is? Not just their voices, but their comedic personalities.
I think for us, it's so helpful to be able to know who you're writing for and who you have in mind. I'm sure that's the case with many songwriters, but particularly for theatrical songwriting, where you're really trying to write from the perspective of a character delivering something or somebody, saying, words out loud that are coming from a place of character. Having the body of work and the comedic genius of a Ryan Reynolds and a Will Ferrell, you imagine what they're going to say before they say it, and the song can begin to write itself because you have their voices and you have their comedic stylings already in your head because it's so part of pop culture. So the collective group, which was me, Justin Paul, Kian Hersey, Sakari Jones, and Mark Sonnenblick, like we just would honestly talk and pretend like we were Will Ferrell or pretend like we were Ryan Reynolds, and anything that didn't sort of pass the test of something that would sound like they were, saying it didn't get in the song. So it's amazing. And the other element too that I think is really cool is, these guys don't have to, they don't have to do anything that they're not already great at. They're legends. And the fact that they want to try their hand, or try their feet, I should say, in tap dancing and singing and dancing and do something that's totally outside of their comfort zone is so cool. So that having them go along the journey and being expand their comfort zone and play in our arena, which is a little more in the sort of theatrical musical theater world, was such a thrill. So yeah, they really were game for the challenge, and they exceeded all of our expectations.
There are a lot of moving parts in that production number for Good Afternoon. Is it complicated to write a song for that's going to have so many background characters and extras and background singers and dancers?
Totally. I mean, there's, it's a huge production number, and, dance is a huge element of it. So knowing when we have to create space for dance, there's a huge cameo, a couple of them, but there's a Judi Dench cameo that comes about. There's just a lot of moving parts. So for us, we really had to construct the song along with Sean and John, who wrote the script, and really be very, very involved in understanding how the story was going to unfold. What were the different places that we could go to? Where were the different cutaways that we could go? So the writing of the song wasn't sort of just, hey, we're going to go to a piano and we're going to come up with sort of an emotional moment. It was really having to be really aligned and know how we were unspooling story along with the script. And so everything had to go back and forth and make sure that we could deliver on some of these ideas. And even writing a line of like Judi Dench, it's like at first we didn't think that Judi Dench would ever make a cameo. We were still like, okay, should we put this line in the movie? And then lo and behold, like Judi Dench shows up and makes a cameo, or there's an Oliver Twist reference, or all of these different things. And then getting to see what's feasible and what's not became sort of the joy of putting it together with the whole team, music directors and choreographers. And it really was a huge, huge village to be able to create it on the creative level. And then also all of the, the singers and dancers that made it come alive.
And I imagine it must also be incredibly satisfying as a songwriter to have the resources to, put on these huge production numbers and get to see your work kind of brought to life in such a grand, spectacular fashion.
It's pretty unbelievable. I think we feel very, very lucky to be living in a time when folks are embracing traditional musical theater on the big screen, and a big pastiche kind of production number at this scale is something that I can't imagine would have happened 10 years ago. And I just feel very, very lucky that we get to be alive during a time when, it's like a harkening back to a different era, and getting to put a little bit of a subversive spin on that, and again, as you're saying, getting the resources and the big tap dancing numbers and the tons of chorus singers and all of that. It can create something really spectacular that usually is just reserved for a Broadway stage. So being able to bring that to the big screen and getting audiences to get to experience that is so thrilling. And those are the movies that I grew up loving. So getting to be a part of that here was really, really special.
As you mentioned, you worked with additional songwriters, Sakari Jones, Kian Hersey, and Mark Sonnenblick. How different is the experience writing with a team like that compared to when it's just you and Justin?
Yeah, I think Justin and I were really excited about the idea of just bringing in different perspectives, people from different backgrounds, especially folks who are younger writers and folks who have a tradition of coming from writing theatrically, but might not have, been able to work in film quite yet. And so getting to have a collaborative group of people, we got ideas that we would have never gotten. We got to build upon each other. And got to create something that I don't think Justin and I would have ever done on our own. So for us, it was really, really cool to just sort of expand our process, but also bring folks from the theatrical world into this, into this film world, and just, get to create something that was totally unlike something that we would have done on our own. And, you know, we were doing this in the middle of the pandemic is when we were writing it. So it all existed on Google Docs. We would, you know, start writing. One of our collaborators had a day job, so she couldn't start writing until 9 p.m. So we would really start our sessions at 9 p.m. and they would go till 2 a.m. We would be on Zooms. We would all be on these things called comfies, which are basically like, you know, giant, like duvets that we would sort of wear as, you know, while we sipped tea and told jokes. And it was like an extended sleepover. And, you know, we had a Good Afternoon, I think is like a 55-page Google Doc where we would go line by line and we were all sort of building on each other's work like a Lego set, you know, writing interior rhymes, pitching things to each other, and just that kind of collaborative writer's room, essentially, that, you know, you have in TV and that you have in pop songwriting, but you don't really get often in theatrical songwriting because of how specific and narrative the song needs to be. It was such a new experience for us and one that we hope we get to do again. And we found it to be really, really thrilling and really, really fun.
And the visual style and you know, things that go into a feature film are different than what goes on to a Broadway stage. How different is it writing songs for one versus the other?
Yeah, I think for the Broadway stage, you have to be very reliant on the music and the lyrics as the main thing that's communicating story. And with film, you get to cut away to different shots. You can do time passage in really interesting ways. You can do close-ups, which can indicate things. And so there's such a collaboration that's necessary on film because it's really who's carrying the weight here of the narrative storytelling. And sometimes it's the responsibility of the music and lyrics, and sometimes it's not. And in film, there are so many more departments that can carry the narrative weight, and you just have to have a constant back and forth to really be collaborative and know when it's your time to step away and when it's your time to really take up that space. And, you know, it's a constant back and forth. I think, you know, in theater, really the music and the lyrics are the principal drivers of most things. And so you have less of that negotiation.
Well, I want to congratulate you on your work on this film and Good Afternoon in particular, and best of luck with it going forward.
Thank you so much, Daniel.
Diane Warren, you wrote the song Applause from the film Tell It Like a Woman, which is an anthology of seven short films from women's points of view, women filmmakers. What were your thoughts on just the film from all over the world? Yeah. What were your thoughts on the film and how it brings together such a wide variety of voices?
I mean, it was amazing because these are 7, directors and actresses and amazing women's stories from women all over the world. So, there's, I mean, so many countries and perspectives are represented here. In America, the American ones are with Jennifer Hudson, and Gail, Gail, oh God, what's her name? I always forget her name. Anyways, who are the actresses? Eva Longoria, and Catherine Hardwicke, and Taraji Henson, both behind the camera and in front of the camera, and all kinds of amazing directors and actresses that we might not know here, but they're like amazing, and they're like the superstars of in their countries. And the stories are just amazing, stories of women's stories from all over the world, yeah.
And Applause is featured in the segment Sharing a Ride. That's where we first hear the song. Did you write the song with that segment in mind, or were you writing it considering the whole film?
I was writing it considering, all the movies together, which is really different for me because, it's usually it's one movie and I'm tying it together emotionally at the end. And this was a movie that there were so many stories, but what I got from it was it's all about survival and the fact that these women went through so much, but yet managed to, survive and thrive. And I wanted to write a really empowering song, which is, give yourself some applause because you made it through. And then it actually fit that story, the Indian one, so well, and then they end up using it in there. So that was an extra added bonus, and it's a beautiful story. That song really fit.
Yeah. And what do you think when you first saw that that sort of climactic scene in that film with the 2 characters in the rain and just how your song has the effect there?
It was just perfect, It just was, it felt like it was written for that scene when it was really written for the, whole movie. But yeah, when I first saw it, I was like, oh my God, it's so emotional, because it's such an emotional moment. And that song really captures it.
And how long was the process of writing the song? Like, what was your process?
It's what I do all the time. I just sit down and when I write a song for a movie, I try to just kind of just tie it together emotionally and see how it inspires me, and what was difficult, not difficult, but what was different, because about this was, how do you tie all these stories together with one song, and the theme I got from it was empowerment and strength, and giving yourself some applause, giving yourself some love, giving yourself some respect because you've earned it, that these women, everything they go through in all these movies, at the end of the day, it's all about that. So my process was just getting inspired and writing it, to fit the entire movie, really. And then it was an extra bonus that it fit that segment as well.
And the song is performed by Sophia Carson. How did you come to work with her on it? What made her, do you think, so right for that song?
One thing about Sophia, Sophia and I, we talked about doing something together. And one thing about her is, she is, if you look at her, she's stunningly beautiful. She's like, gorgeous. But what's even more beautiful is who she is, and her heart and her strength. And, she's just an amazing young woman. And she's a great singer. Let's add that, because without that, I wouldn't have gone to her. But I just felt like she was when I do a song for a movie, I'm casting the character of that song to be a part of that movie, okay? So, like, Sophia could have been one of those characters in those movies. She has that strength. She embodies what most of those movies are about. So it was just an easy call. And I talked to her about it. I go, I have something that I think you need to hear and you need to do, and she loved it. She loved the song, and it's amazing to to be on this journey with her. And in fact, like a few weeks ago, it's what's really cool is when when a song can live outside. First and foremost, of course, it's for the movie, but if it gets a life outside of the movie, that's like an extra added bonus. And a few weeks ago, CNN, asked us to, asked really Sophia, I was just the piano player, asked us to do it, on the show on CNN Heroes, where the song was, basically acknowledging all these heroes. It was an honor of them. So that was just, it's a beautiful thing, when a song that you write can do that, because these people are true heroes. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the show, but it's like, so for that song to, fit so beautifully, in the movie, and about women and empowerment, and then, have another life, it's great. That's what you want with a song.
And your songs in particular, you always write with these themes that can, reference something specific but feel universal.
Yeah.
So it really feels like you were almost made for a film that tells 7 different stories, because you're able to.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah. Because you want these songs to, to be as universal as possible. And this movie's literally universal, Yeah.
And you received an honorary Oscar recently, so I want to congratulate you on that.
You want to hear something funny?
Mm-hmm.
We were doing the vocal. I mean, it's just kind of ironic. Since we're talking about applause, Sophia was doing the vocal in my studio when I got the call from the Academy saying that I was getting the honorary Oscar. So here I'm doing a song about giving yourself some applause. I was like, oh, that's cool. I guess I'll give myself some applause for a second and then go back to beating myself up right after. But it's such an amazing honor. I mean, that's like the big Oscar. Like that's the one they give, like, all kinds of, if you look at the list of who's gotten that award, it's pretty mind-blowing. And they've never given it to a songwriter before. So I'm the first songwriter ever to have gotten that. So it'd be great. It'd be great. He told me he wants a friend. So so I'm trying to get one for him.
What was it like having Cher be the person who was there to present it to you? Was that especially meaningful?
It was amazing. Well, first of all, because I go way back with Cher, I've written, like, she's done 20 of my songs, including Turn Back Time, and You Haven't Seen the Last of Me, which won the Golden Globe, because that 11 years ago. But Cher doesn't do anything for anybody. She just doesn't. And she like is notorious for never going west of the 405. And this was definitely west of the 405 to where the honorary Oscars were, the governor's awards were being held. So like she was like my dream to give it to me, you know, but I didn't think that would happen, but she did show up, and it was such a beautiful night. Like that was the best night of my life, you know. It's amazing.
And you mentioned giving your honorary Oscar some company, and
Yeah.
of course you're on the short list for applause.
Yeah.
Does it still feel just as meaningful to get that recognition out of so many songs? You know, because you mentioned in your speech, you know, 13 times you've been selected as one of a very small number of the best songs of the year. So is that still a thrill?
Yeah, what I said in my speech, I really came from the heart, and I said that, you know, people go, what's it like to lose 13 times? And I go like, no, I haven't lost 13 times. Are you kidding me? I've won 13 times because there's only 5 songs. You know, the Grammys have, I don't know how many song categories the Grammys have, but there's like, you know, 20 or 30 of them. There's a lot. And the Academy Awards has only 5. And if you look at the names of the people who vote for you, they're the best of the best on the planet, of composers, songwriters, you know, all, you know, that exist in, you know, right now. And so for them to pick, you know, 5 songs and, you know, 13 times they've been my song, I do not look at that. I joke around, yeah, I'm a 13-time loser, but I'm a 13-time winner, you know, and it's just as exciting. You know, I stay up waiting all night for the nominations, you know, whenever I'm like on the short list. And I don't take it for granted. I'm grateful, you know. I'm grateful to be in the club, to be, you know, in play. Really, it's great. You know, of course, you want to be nominated, and that's the best feeling in the world, you know. And then everything else is gravy. The nomination is the win to me.
And you know, now that you have that honorary Oscar, where do you keep it? Did you have a spot that you'd designated for it if you were to get one at some point?
Yeah, I slept with him for a couple of nights, you know, and we're still kind of in our honeymoon phase, you know. He's on the piano now, you know, but, you know, I just look at him every day and I was like, wow, I have an Oscar. I mean, that is the coolest thing. It's the coolest thing.
Well, I want to congratulate you again on that honorary Oscar, and congratulations on applause from Tell Like a Woman. It's been a pleasure talking with you about it.
Great talking to you as well.
I'm Daniel Montgomery here for our Meet the Experts Songwriters panel with Keeravaani from RRR, Benj Pasek from Spirited, and Diane Warren from Tell It Like a Woman. They each represent such different films and songs, you know, so different from each other. Is there a genre or medium you'd like to write songs for that you haven't already, Benj?
Yeah, I think, you know, it's so cool to get to do what we do, but I think I'm so jealous of Diane that she gets to write these big pop songs, and you know, gets to work with, like, I got to be there when she got her honorary Oscar, and just getting to see just the scope of the amazing songs that she's written. I just can't even imagine what it would be like to have like songs on the radio like that. So I think that's such a cool thing that would be a dream of mine one day.
Yeah.
How about you, Diane?
Well, first of all, thank you for saying all those nice things, Benji. You know, I know nothing about the theatrical world, so we're like, you know, it'd be cool to do something sometime like that. I love writing in different genres because I kind of, you know, I don't stay in one genre very long. So it's fun to have songs that can be, like I was just in the studio Machine Gun Kelly last week, you know, so I go from that to, you know, Sophia Carson so it's kind of fun just to, you know, be all over the place, really, you know. You know, what's important is that the song has to be great, whatever genre you're in. And actually, one song can be in different genres, you know? You could flip a song and if the song's great. I don't know if that
And
answered your question though.
Yeah, definitely. How about you, MM?
Hi, Diane.
Hey.
First of all, yeah, congratulations for, getting the honorary Oscar.
Thank you.
And of course, now the shortlist and for everything you contributed to the music world. And I'm happy to share this conversation with you.
Oh,
and Benj, I've seen you, good afternoon, and I was amazed by the quality and the coordination. It reminded me of the great work from The Fiddler on the Roof, which is my all-time favorite.
That is
And,
so cool.
I want you to know that I am neither jealous of you or Diane, because I wish you all the best. And I am actually jealous of the music composer, whoever did for the movie Phone Booth. So that's the kind of work I wish to, do in future. I've seen the movie Phone Booth by Joel Schumacher maybe 100 times or 200 times. I lost count how many times.
That was a crazy movie. That was a crazy movie.
Crazy movie.
Colin Farrell.
So whenever I feel very low or depressed or bored, I just put on the DVD or whatever format it is. I watch Phone Booth, at least a few scenes, and get refreshed and go to bed. So that's actually, that's me.
That makes you feel good, Phone Booth? He's dark. That's a dark movie.
Phone Booth is my God. That's my prayer. That's my God. That's my breath, everything. So I'm very happy to be here in LA and sharing this wonderful platform with you. And I'm looking forward to the good afternoon becoming a tornado kind of movement and become bigger and bigger. All the best, Benj Pasek, to you, and to you too, Diane, and many more rewards and awards to you for all the good work you've been doing. I'm very happy to be here with you all.
Thrilled to be here with you.
Yeah, same.
And what?
I'm trying to understand that Phone Booth. Have you guys, anybody seen Phone Booth?
Yeah, I've seen it.
I think it's like when I go to bed listening to, murder podcasts or whatnot.
Yeah, exactly.
Same kind of thing. But yeah, I relate.
Yeah, it's a great movie. Yeah. You don't want to be, makes you not want to be a publicist, probably.
And what's I'm wondering, your favorite aspect? Yeah, this is kind of like a big, broad question, but like your favorite aspect of creating music, what especially makes that an important aspect of your life and your artistry, Diane?
I just love to do it. It's breathing to me. If I couldn't do it, I wouldn't be able to live. So it's what I love more than anything is writing songs. So it's that simple.
MM?
My favorite aspect of creating music is to score music for movies and that have intense emotions, larger than life. And sometimes a normal movie, normal story, with my music, it becomes a larger than life presentation. So that's what fascinates me all the time, scoring music for movies.
And Benj?
I think for me, it's about just capturing an emotion or capturing a character, getting inside the head of a character, and you get to capture a moment in time. It's like a diary entry of something that you're wanting to express, but so often in film, you're getting to take the high point of a character's emotion and you're getting to put it in a 4-minute little cocoon, and that is so cool to be able to capture something like that. And it lasts forever in a way. And for me, I was raised on songs from movies, especially the Disney Renaissance was incredibly influential in me. And for me, and, that feels so synonymous. Music in movies feels so synonymous with childhood for me, and the way that how I grew up and the lessons that have been imparted are all from songs, so they stick with you and they're part of your DNA. And to be able to try to create things that could be like that for future generations is a really cool job to get to do every day.
And what's your ideal space for creating music, like a physical space or you know, just the environment that helps you creatively? MM?
To me, when whatever is a studio space or wherever, whichever is the DAW I am working on, whether it's a Logic or Ableton, that doesn't matter. But when I collaborate with a musician or a songwriter who can vibe with me on the same wavelength, so that gives me immense motivation, and that it's rapidly speeds up my creative ability. Who can understand me well, that person need not be excellent in his or her own area, but at least they should be able to understand what I'm trying to communicate. That gives me energy. The collaboration always gives me energy. But of course, I can work on my own, but whenever I collaborate with an instrument player, the lyricist, an artist, anybody at all, the collaboration is, there is a magic in collaborating with someone, because always magic happens when two or more people come together to create something. It's a magic.
How about you, Benj?
That's such a good answer. I feel the same way. It's less of a physical space and more it's about people for me. I love, you know, as Emma was saying, it's like when you know, I think of like any kind of creative spark is when two rocks, you know, butt up against each other, and that's where the fire comes from. It's two things that collide in a way that you don't expect. And so that exchange, that reciprocity between artists, and even if you're writing on your own, you still have the conversation with a singer, you still have the conversation with your actors, you still have the conversation with the filmmakers. So it really is about that exchange of, you know, getting to dream up worlds together and getting to create them and see them through. So yeah, again, it's less physical space and more about the people that you get to create and build with. And yeah, that's a really very, very cool thing to get to do and be in such a collaborative art form.
Diane?
Well, my disgusting writing room. That's where I really like to work at. So mine is kind of a literal space. I've never cleaned it in over 3 decades. I'm really comfortable in there, which doesn't say much about me, but you know, I like kind of cluttery kind of places to work, and you know, but wherever there's a guitar or a keyboard, actually, too. I'm not getting deeply philosophical there. I'm much more literal. You guys answered it so beautifully, and I'm like, yeah, just my disgusting room.
No, it's a good place, and goodness knows I have plenty of you know, just these small places that just fit you, and
Yeah.
you know, it's always just a perfect way to work sometimes.
It's like a kid, you're being a little kid in your room, you know, and comfortable. So.
And do you any of you have advice for, you know, musicians, songwriters, you know, artists who are coming up in the business or want to be a part of this business? Benj?
Oh my, I was hoping you'd ask the king and queen over here as opposed to me. But for me, I think just like watch and listen to as much as you possibly can. I feel like so many of the things that I have learned are, you know, you can really give yourself so many college educations just by going to cast albums or watching movies and just consuming and living in these things. There's so often when we're looking to write a song for a moment or understand what would make sense to drive story forward, we look at, okay, what happened? Honestly, and then reference like Fiddler on the Roof. Like I was thinking about a Fiddler on the Roof song yesterday for a different show. And it's like, okay, how did they achieve this in Fiddler on the Roof written in 1964? You know, like there are so many like breadcrumbs that are left, you know, by everyone who's done this before. So just consuming as much as possible and knowing that there are answers and there are clues that are hidden for you. I think that's a big part of it. Not thinking that you have to just create it out of nothing, but there really is so much that you can build upon and draw from.
Diane?
Do it because you love it. And if you really want to do it, be great, not good. Don't do it for anything except out of love, because you're going to get a lot of doors slammed in your face. It's not an easy thing to do. You know, making it in this business is not easy, as everybody here knows. So do it out of love.
MM?
Yeah, my advice is for any artist, particularly who creates music or any work of art, the first admirer should be yourself. You should be liking your own creation. There is nothing called that I don't like it, but I'm hoping the world may like it. That won't work. Yeah, if I like it, then whether the world likes it or not, that's different. You should like your own composition or creation or writing, anything at all. Then the success already happened. When the world also likes it and recognizes and applause, and that's like a bonus. So you should be your first fan and your first audience and your first admirer. That's what the
Give yourself
secret
some
of
applause.
applause, applause and more applause.
Sorry.
That's what I believe. That's what advice I can give if I'm asked to.
I love that.
Yeah, thank you, Benj.
Well, I would like to give all of you a round of applause for your work,
Thank you very
and
much.
Congratulations on making the Oscars shortlist. Best of luck with that. And it's been a pleasure talking to you all about your work.
Great
Thank
talking
you
to
very
you
much.
guys.
Great to share the space with you. I'm such
Great
fans.
talking.
This is really fun.